Did US Army really sabotage its own troops in Vietnam by issuing them the M16? Is it true that American soldiers were found dead next to disassembled rifles with cleaning rods stuck in the barrel, trying to clear jams in their final moments? This is the story of the M16 and how what was supposed to be a revolutionary weapon went horribly wrong. Let's begin. After World War II, armies around the world saw the logistical nightmare of having so many different types of weapons. From pistols and submachine guns to carbines, rifles, and machine guns, there were countless types of ammunition that had to be delivered to the battlefield. It then had to be sorted to ensure everyone got the right type of ammo, as within a single squad there could be 4 weapons using different calibers. Additionally, Allied forces couldn't support each other easily in combat because they all used their own type of ammunition. So, after World War II, NATO forces agreed to develop a new caliber, standardize it, and build weapons around a single cartridge, making logistics much easier. The cartridge chosen initially was 308, or 7.62 by 51 NATO. The US developed the M14 as an improved version of the M1 Grand, with 20-round capacity instead of 8 and a full auto option. However, the M14 ended up being a rifle with the shortest operational history. It was too heavy, almost uncontrollable in full auto mode, had a wooden stock that swelled and cracked in humid conditions, and struggled with other reliability issues. This led the army to search for a new solution. Unfortunately, the solution would prove disastrous, and you'll soon see why. The army introduced a new concept, realizing that a smaller round could be almost as effective while significantly reducing the weight of the weapon and ammunition, allowing soldiers to carry twice the ammo with the same weight. So the prototype for this new cartridge was created. To further reduce weight and costs, the new rifle was built with aluminum and plastic instead of the traditional combination of metal and wood. It also introduced a new gas operating system where gas from the fired cartridge was funneled directly into the bolt carrier group to cycle the action. Without going too deep into specific models, the AR-15 platform was born. It had the same 20-round capacity, but weighed only half as much as the M14. The new downsized cartridge for NATO was .223 caliber, or 5.56mm, considered potent enough to be effective in combat while being accurate and controllable in full auto mode. Early tests showed that the new rifle was reliable, accurate, and had a good cyclic rate of 750 rounds per minute. As the Vietnam War approached, around 1,000 of these new rifles were sent to South Vietnamese allies to try them out, and the reports were incredible. The Air Force also tested them and had nothing bad to say. Soldiers loved the rifle's low weight, accuracy, and control when firing full auto. In short, production of this new rifle was soon ordered, and it entered service as the M16. But what went wrong? In tests it performed flawlessly, yet in the war it wreaked havoc on American soldiers. The main problem was that when the Ordnance Department got the order to start manufacturing, they made a couple of crucial changes. It is said that this is where corruption and negligence happened. Among the important changes were adding a forward assist, which is said to be completely unnecessary, and most importantly, changing the type of powder in the ammunition. It turned out that this new powder produced much higher pressure and completely messed up the weapon's fine-tuned gas operating system. The more powerful propellant increased the rate of fire to over 900 rounds per minute, which caused cycling problems and extra wear on the rifle. The most common malfunction was failure to extract, when the rim of a fired cartridge broke because of higher pressures, and fired casing became lodged in the chamber, jamming the gun. The only way to clear it was to push the casing out from the opposite side of the barrel. To make matters worse, the suggested chrome lining of the rifle, which was about to be used in the jungle, was denied, and surprisingly, this led to rust issues in the humid environment, further causing problems, as if they hadn't already seen that in the Pacific with World War II rifles. To add to the soldiers' misery, the M16 was said to be a self-cleaning rifle, whatever that was supposed to mean. Soldiers were neither trained nor instructed to clean their rifles, and in the beginning, M16 was issued without cleaning kits, which proved catastrophic. As mentioned, the most frequent malfunction was failure to extract. Without cleaning kits, soldiers didn't even have a rod to clear these jams. One soldier was even killed during a firefight while running around helping others clear their jams because he was the only one with a rod. Soldiers even wrote letters home asking their families to send cleaning kits and lubrication for their guns. And don't forget that they had to go through rivers, rice paddies, mud and jungles with these rifles. So much for the self-cleaning feature. Then came the first engagements, and the M16 completely betrayed soldiers. Early in the war, reports flooded in of M16 jamming during firefights and soldiers getting killed because of it. There are numerous accounts from reinforcements arriving to find soldiers dead, lying next to disassembled rifles as they had been desperately trying to clear a jam in their final moments, or even use their rifles as clubs in close-quarters combat. What was supposed to be a low-maintenance rifle turned out to be the complete opposite. The heat from firing burned off lubricants, leaving the rifle's parts dry. Even worse, the slower-burning powder caused deposits to build up inside the barrel, hardening and becoming nearly impossible to clean. Soldiers quickly found the M16 unreliable and sensitive, which are not words to describe a weapon you must depend your life on. And that's not it. The rifle's early magazines were also the problem. Designed to be disposable, they were poorly made with weak springs, so soldiers often loaded no more than 16 rounds into a 20-round magazine. Corrosion in the magazines also caused rounds to get stuck. If you've seen soldiers in movies hitting magazines against their helmets, that's because they actually did this to ensure the rounds weren't stuck. Later, 30-round magazines were introduced, but they didn't fully replace the 20-round ones for another decade. At the beginning, as not trusting their own weapons, many US soldiers took drastic measures to protect themselves. When possible, they picked up enemy AK-47s, which were significantly more reliable. Special units often used AKs during operations deep behind enemy lines, as it also helped them stay covert. The distinct sound of the AK caused confusion among the enemy during firefights. Some soldiers preferred the M16 or even older World War II-era weapons when they could find them. Soldiers also reported frustration at the lack of stopping power of the 5.56 in jungle warfare. The rounds struggled to penetrate thick vegetation and retain their power to hit what's behind it, something which 7.62 AK round didn't have problem with. Some soldiers were horrified to see that multiple shots at close range couldn't stop the enemy charging at them. After numerous complaints about the M16's reliability, the US launched an investigation and even sent investigators to Vietnam to identify the problem. Soon, detailed investigation would confirm the problems mentioned earlier and came with the conclusion that they were caused by what could only be described as criminal negligence during the rifle's development and production. Money was most likely the main cause for switching the gunpowder just before deployment. However, whether these cardinal errors were deliberate or not, we'll never know, as no one was ever held accountable. Soon, several changes were made to the M16A1 version, including the chrome lining and stronger springs, which significantly improved rifles' performance. The powder issues were also resolved, which slowly restored trust in the weapon. Despite its terrible start, the M16's revolutionary design set the standard for modern military rifles. The AR-15 platform remains in service in the US Army to this day, in numerous variants and modifications. Sadly, for many, it was already too late, as the mistakes of the very army they served cost them their lives. The M16 is often seen as a symbol of its time, but the real story behind it is dark and far from glamorous.